Hello, Reds, and welcome back to Anfield Agenda Champions League. Baby, it is the Champions League quarter-final and semi-final draw that starts at around 11 a.m. It starts at around 11, but we know what these stupid draws are like. They take about half an hour before they start picking the names out of the hat. So who knows when the draw will actually be. But before the draw, let's have a good chat about things. So obviously, Liverpool, this is a big competition for us. It always has been, but it has more meaning this year. You know, our league form in recent weeks hasn't been great. We now find ourselves out of the top four and with a lot of work to do if we want to finish in the top four this season. So, you know, the Champions League final may be our best route to getting Champions League football next season. It's a huge draw for us today. Let me know in the comments who you want, who you think Liverpool will get, and who you are desperate to avoid. I'll let you know mine in a moment. I think this is a huge draw for us, as I say, not only because a lot of fans right now have our eyes on the Champions League and the best route, you know, it being our best route to Champions League football next season, but also because of the confidence of these players. If we get a nice draw, a tasty draw, it might boost the confidence of the lads, and they might think that they can go all the way as well. So yes, the Champions League draw is officially starting at 11 o'clock, but it will be when they stop talking and actually put their hands in the pots and draw out the balls. But yeah, it's a big day, isn't it? A big day. I love the Champions League. The draw is going to be an interesting one. There's some very good teams in there. Europeans elite. Obviously, Ronaldo and Messi went out in the round of 16. That mirrors 2005 when the final was in Istanbul that year. And who won it that year? Liverpool. So hopefully the omens are all pointing in our direction and that we prove them right and win number 7 in Istanbul this year. It has even greater meaning as well, because of course at the moment they're predicting that there may be fans in Istanbul for that Champions League final, which of course would be sensational if we could go over to Istanbul and see Liverpool lift big ears number 7 you know, in May. But let me go into your comments without further ado. First of all, I asked you for 3 things, you know, who you're desperate to avoid, who you want to get, and who you will think we will get. So I'll start with who I want to avoid. Obviously, you want to avoid Bayern. You want to avoid PSG, the 2 finalists from that last season. And I would like to avoid the English clubs too. That's just me. I think obviously Chelsea and Man City have been very strong in the last few weeks, and I'd like to avoid them. So quite a few teams I'd like to avoid there. Who do I think we'll get? I think we will get either Manchester City or Chelsea. I just have a feeling we'll get an English club. I've had a feeling for a few weeks now, before we even got through to the quarterfinals, that if we did get through, we'd draw Manchester City. You know, we knocked them out in the last 8 a couple of seasons ago. They'll be desperate to get their revenge on us, and they'll think this year is their perfect opportunity to do that. You know, we've got quite a few injuries. We've been shaky of late. So yeah, I think we'll get either them or Chelsea. And don't underestimate Chelsea. I've seen a lot of people that want Chelsea, but they look resurgent under Thomas Tuchel. Their defence looks a lot better. They look a lot stronger defensively. They've just beaten the team that has been the best side in La Liga this year. So we can't underestimate getting Chelsea either. And I do think we'll get one of the English teams in this draw for the quarter-final. And then who do I want to get? Who do I think we'll get? Who do I want to get? I think I want personally to get Borussia Dortmund, because I think, you know, they're a side that are definitely beatable. But yeah, I think they'll suit us more in terms of their style of play than Porto. Porto will set up to frustrate. They'll be very strong defensively. They'll line up exactly how the other sides in the Premier League that we've struggled against, you know, the lesser sides in the Premier League, and they'll line up exactly like that, and they'll frustrate us. And watching them against Juventus, you know, last week and in the first leg, Juventus reminded me an awful lot of how we've been playing in those games games in the Premier League at Anfield against your Fulhams, your Brightons, your Burnleys, teams like that. And it does worry me. I do think as well, we're better going into games when we're underdogs. So, it'll be an interesting draw. And let me get into your comments to find out who you think we will get, and also who you think the rest of the teams will get, if you can post the full draws, and then let's see who gets it right. Chicken Boy thinks we will get Real. Johnny hopes Real. Look, Real Madrid would be a decent draw. La Liga sides are struggling this year. Barcelona and Real Madrid don't look the same that they have done for the last few years. Real Madrid have had injury problems too. They didn't find it easy against Atalanta, did they? And I think it's the perfect time for us to get our revenge on them after what happened in Kiev. So, yeah, I think Real Madrid would be a draw that I would like, to be honest with you. I do think it's winnable. It would be tough, but when you get to the last eight, any game is tough. Mechatronics Geek says best teams to get: Dortmund, Porto, and Real Madrid in that order. Yeah, a lot of people tell me that Porto would be a good draw. And listen, I hear you. On paper, they're probably the worst side in this draw. I just don't like how they set up. They set up to frustrate. Their defensive shape is exactly what this Liverpool side struggle against. And they caused Juventus all kinds of problems. They were resilient. They looked very, very good that day. And, in fact, across both legs. So, I do think if we get them, maybe we've avoided some of the big guns, but I don't think it's one to celebrate. I think it'll be a tough draw nonetheless, and it's definitely not something to get excited about and put ourselves into the last four already. Don't forget as well, the draw for the last four will follow this quarter-final draw, and therefore we will know our semi-final opponents as well, should we get through the quarter-final. So, I feel sorry for whoever knows that they get PSG in the quarter-final and then the winner of the Bayern game in the semi-final. But yep, let me have a look here. Dortmund PSG would be interesting, says Komoto. Yeah, it would be interesting. There's so many ties in this competition that would be interesting. I was looking this morning and we could be in a situation where City draw Bayern, Pep goes back to Bayern, his former club, Tuchel draws PSG, Tuchel going back to his former club, of course, and Liverpool draw Dortmund, and Klopp goes back to his former club, of course. So, there could be some very, very interesting ties in this. And, as Iana points out, it would be Haaland versus Mbappe. If Dortmund were to draw PSG. So, the battle of the young stars coming through, the best two youngsters in world football at the minute. I think there's no doubt in that. Fraser Stewart simply puts, from Paris down to Turkey, yes, we're never going to stop, are we? And listen, I said before, we've had some difficult weeks, and the last few months have been tough in terms of our league form. But, people forget, and I was very young in 2005 when we won the Champions League in Istanbul, but just how poor we were in the league that season. Of course, we finished fifth. We finished below Everton. But, things happened and miracles happened, and we got a bit of luck in the Champions League. It took a wonderful Gerrard strike against Olympiacos in the group stage to get us through. It took Louis Garcia with that ghost goal in the semi-final. And it took, coming back from 3-0 down at half-time in Istanbul. And we were written off so many times that year, but we came back and we came back and we came back. So maybe there's just something in the water that wants us in Istanbul again this summer. Tony Duntag agrees with me. He thinks we will get City. Yep, I've had that feeling for weeks, mate. I just think we'll get City. And if we do, it will be incredibly tough. But as I say, you just can't rule us out in Europe. And you can't rule City out from messing up in Europe, can you? I've said before, I do think it's Manchester City's best chance they've ever had to win this competition. And it seems like theirs to lose at the moment, but you can't rule them out from losing it because, in the last few years, they just seem to mess up in this last day, and it'll be interesting to see who they get today. Remember, after this as well, depending on the time of the Europa League draw, I may stay on to do the Europa League draw afterwards. However, if If not, then I'll come off, and then hopefully you guys will want to see more, and you'll go over to Mundo Sporto. Me and Craig have done a Premier League prediction show and also an FA Cup prediction show that will go out shortly after this video. So yeah, head over to Mundo Sporto straight after this video to check that out. It's a really good little series that me and Craig have started to do. Easy Scotty 99 says, I don't want City. Look what they've done to us in the Premier League. Yes, City are a side that you do want to avoid. As I say, the English clubs, it's always difficult when you face them in the Champions League over two legs. They're always tough to call. And, you know, as I say, Man City and Chelsea, both very, very strong at the moment. But yeah, City are one of the favourites for this competition alongside Bayern. And for me, we need to avoid both City and Bayern. But I do just have that feeling that we will draw Manchester City. Hope Duma says, please, God, give us Porto. Interesting. Quite a few people want Porto. As I say, I can get why, but personally, I think they're a side that we can't afford to underestimate. Comment here saying, imagine City versus Bayern would be great, wouldn't it, to see those two teams face each other before the Champions League final. I think everyone is expecting that to be the final. So for those two to get each other in the quarterfinal or even the semi-final, I think would be nice. For the other teams in the last eight. Evil Nade says, I think we will get Dortmund. Hope so, mate. Really do. Darren Hodgson says, come on, Liverpool. Let's get through to the next round one step at a time. Yeah, I hate the fact that, you know, they do it like where they go the quarterfinal draw alongside the semi-final draw. I don't like that. It ruins it ruins it a tiny bit. But yeah, I do agree. One step at a time. Whoever we get in the semi-final, whoever we get drawn against today, should for the semi-final should go to the back of our minds, and we should concentrate firmly on who we are facing in the last eight first. Burke says, I feel like Chelsea or Madrid. Ethan Cole says it either imagine City and Real Madrid. Obviously, City faced Real Madrid last year and City knocked them out. Adam Burns says, opinions on Trent not being picked. Go over to our video. Me and Craig did a video yesterday on that, mate. So check that out. We spoke about Trent not being picked there. So go over and check that out after this one. Let's have a look at the comments here. Darren Hodgson says, thanks, Jack, for the stream. No worries, mate. Hopefully it's a good draw to go alongside the stream. Let's have a look. Who do you think will win the tournament, says Patrick? As I say, the favourites are, of course, Bayern and Manchester City. I think they're the sides that everybody fancies the most, and myself too. I think City are, in the best ever shape they have been to win this competition. They've sorted their defensive structure out. They look very good in the league this year. Obviously, they're on that remarkable run before Manchester United stopped them in their tracks, and then they went and beat Fulham quite comfortably. And they looked good against Mönchengladbach in midweek too. I think Chelsea are underdogs for the competition. As I say, they look very resurgent under Thomas Tuchel. They look good against Madrid, though Madrid I thought looks poor against them, Atleti. But I do think they're underdogs for this, and I also think you can't rule us and PSG out too. PSG obviously under Maurizio Pochettino, of course he's never won anything, but they've got players like Mbappe and Neymar, and they got to the Champions League final last year. Of course, can they go one step further this year? Obviously, we know it's a big aim for PSG to win this competition. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It really is. John Long says we will get Dortmund. Eddie Zamhari says his prediction is Chelsea versus Porto, Liverpool versus Real Madrid, Dortmund versus PSG, and Bayern versus City. Some cracking draws in there. Darren Hodgson says, I'm not keen on City. I would rather it be Bayern Munich. I know Craig wants Bayern Munich himself. He wants to prove that we can beat those sort of sides. And listen, Bayern, for all their attacking premise and how good they are going forwards, they are quite shaky at the back. And I do think they are beatable, but I do think we need to avoid them. I really do. Toby Holdsworth says, I want City, to be honest, gives us a challenge. Fair play, mate. I definitely don't. Adam Cusack says, we're definitely City. Kevin Noonan says, when's the draw? No idea, mate. I heard it may be around 11:10. But I know in these, draws, they like to take their time. They like to chat a load of waffle before they actually put their hands in the buckets and draw out the balls. So very, very interesting. Adam Sheehan's, I've not even thought about this, but he says, who fancies a Super Cup final against United. That would be nice. But, I can't see United winning the Europa League either, purely because I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is good enough to guide them to a Europa League trophy. But we'll soon see. Leighton Robinson says, up the Reds. Yep, fingers crossed for a good draw. Fingers crossed for a good draw today. As I say, this at the moment looks like our best route to playing Champions League football next season. I keep saying about how important this summer is for this football club, how important our transfer activity is for this football club. We're being linked with some mega names in the summer, but the only chance these mega names are going to join us is if we're playing Champions League football next season, and that should be our aim. We've messed up in recent weeks, but though it's unlikely to finish top four, it's not impossible. But though I say that, the Champions League may be a focus of ours now, and we may be looking at this as a competition that we want to go and win. And we want to get number 7 in Istanbul, a home of a ground where we love, and a country and a place where we've won it before and we want to do it again. Let me have a look in the comments again. Dave Myers says Bayern versus Porto, City versus Chelsea, Liverpool versus Dortmund, and Madrid versus PSG. Yes, I do feel like there will be an all-English tie in here, but it won't be long before we find out whether or not it will involve City and Chelsea, Liverpool and City, or Liverpool and Chelsea. Let's have a look. Easy Scotty 99 says, who would win, Bayern or City, Jack, if they played each other right now? Oh, it would be incredibly tough to call. I think purely because it's in Europe, Bayern. But over 2 legs, it's tough. Let me know what you think. I think it's incredibly difficult to call. I would fancy Bayern purely because of how City are in Europe. But as I say, you can't rule City out. I think they're in the best possible shape they ever have been to win this tournament. So we'll soon see. Mark LFC UK says draw is about to start, Jack. Yes, I know. I have it on my screen. The Sami Khedira lookalike is about to pull the names out of the hat. Let's have a look. City will get an easy draw like Dortmund, says Mechatronics Geek. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if City and PSG get the easy draws, wouldn't it? Nia says, stop waffling. Cheers, mate. Glad you're enjoying the stream. If you're not, you know where to fuck off to, don't you? But anyway, let's just have a look. So the teams to be drawn are obviously along the bottom. Connor is here watching below, and he will update the banner at the bottom to let you know what draws everyone gets and which team draws who. But the teams to be drawn are Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund, Chelsea, Manchester City, Porto, have I said Real Madrid? So it's Liverpool can draw City, Chelsea, Porto, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Dortmund, and PSG. So let's see who we get. As I see the hand go into the pot for the first ball of the day. So let's see who it is. They take their time with these draws, don't they? So Manchester City, Man City, the first team out the pot for today, and they have got Borussia Dortmund. So a tie that I quite wanted, Borussia Dortmund. City have managed to get. So Erling Haaland will go to a side where he's been linked with, of course, and City will fancy themselves in that tie. So City draw Dortmund. A lot of people unhappy about that. Dortmund, of course, one of the sides that we wanted to draw, but Man City have drawn them. And as I say, for me, I think they're in the best possible shape they ever have been to win the Champions League this year. Dortmund are a team that everybody would have fancied themselves if they drew, but you know they've got the talent. Sancho, Haaland, Royce, so many fantastic players. Mahmoud Dahoud, the young Jude Bellingham, of course. And Porto have drawn Chelsea. So, of course, wow, some tough draws in there for Liverpool. Both other English clubs have got nice draws for them. I think, Porto are a side, as I say, that will set up with that defensive structure. But the way Chelsea have been playing recently, they've looked good, haven't they? And resurgent under Thomas Tuchel. But both of the English sides have got good draws there. With Chelsea drawing Porto, and City drawing Dortmund. And Bayern are next out the hat. Who will they get? They have got PSG, which means Liverpool will play Real Madrid in the Champions League quarterfinals. Let me know what you think about that. That is an interesting draw. You know, we get the perfect opportunity for revenge in that Champions League quarterfinal now. They broke our hearts in Kiev, and now we have the chance again to go to Madrid, for them to come to Anfield, and let's get this done. Let's get ourselves in that draw for the Champions League semi-final. Of course, we are about to find out who we will play if we get ourselves through past Real Madrid, who, of course, it won't be easy. Of course it won't be. But in my opinion, there is no better time to play Real Madrid. Salah will be well up for this. You know, after what that dirty rat Sergio Ramos did to him in Kiev, he will want to get his revenge, and Liverpool will see this as our perfect time to get revenge. And I think all us Liverpool fans thought, you know, we don't underestimate Real Madrid. We know they're a good side, European giants, of course, but it is the best time to play them. It is the best time for us to get our revenge. And let's see who we will get now, should we get through to the Champions League semi-final. Of course, it will be either Bayern or PSG, and it will be City or Dortmund and Chelsea or Porto. You fancy City and Chelsea to get through those games, don't you? You fancy the two English sides to progress past Porto and Dortmund alike. And you fancy Bayern against PSG, but as I say, you can't rule PSG out. They lost to Bayern last year. It's their time to get revenge in the Champions League quarter-final from what Bayern did to them in the final last season. But I can see now the semi-finals are about to be drawn. Who would you like to get? Would you like to get City, Chelsea, or PSG/Bayern? So I can see the winner of quarter-final 3, so that is Bayern or PSG. They have been drawn out first, and they will play. Let's have a look. Man City or Dortmund. So we will see Manchester City face either Bayern or PSG should they get through. And that means in the semi-final, if Liverpool progress past Real Madrid, it will be Chelsea or Porto. Oh my God, baby. It smells of 2005, doesn't it? Chelsea, Liverpool could play in the semi-final. If we get past, of course, Real Madrid, we will play Chelsea or Porto. What a draw that is for us to avoid both Bayern and Manchester City and PSG, of course, in that semi-final should we progress past Real Madrid. And as I say, it smells of 2005, doesn't it? Messi and Ronaldo out of the round of 16. Chelsea perhaps in the semi-final should we beat Real Madrid. Of course, we knocked Juventus out in the quarter-final of that run in 2005. But that, in my opinion, is a decent draw for Liverpool. It really is. Real Madrid, tough draw, but not the hardest. You know, there was definitely harder sides in that draw for us to get. And, you know, we have to get past them first. But I'm sure we will know that if we get past them, Porto versus Chelsea in the semi-final is a bit of a let-off. You know, it's a nice draw for us. And I'm sure, with that being said, I'm sure Chelsea are rubbing their hands together as well. But as I say, for us, that is a draw to smile about. It's not the best of draws we could have got, but it's certainly not the hardest. We've avoided the big guns. We've avoided the Man Cities, the Bayerns, the PSGs, all the favourites in this competition. As I say, I think Chelsea are huge underdogs, and they'll be rubbing their hands together at this draw too. Porto in the quarterfinals, which you fancy them for, and then, of course, us or Real Madrid in the semi-finals. As I say, Real Madrid, not the strongest they've been over the years, but European elites, and you can't rule them out. But this is the perfect time for us to get our revenge for what happened in Kiev. A lot of people, what are you feeling about the draw? Liz Golden simply says, that draw will do. Tony Lynch says, here we go again, boys. Decent draw, Jack, says John. Come on, let's show them what the Reds are made of. Absolutely, of course. I'm talking about Real Madrid being European elite, but Liverpool are European elite, of course, too. 6 times Champions League winners, and we want to make it 7 this year in Istanbul. And you know what? That draw, nothing is certain. Nothing is certain. But with that draw, you cannot rule us out. We've got to get past Real Madrid first, which will be tough. And then Porto and Chelsea. Hopefully, everyone will want, Porto to beat Chelsea. But whoever we get in that semi-final, I think a lot of Liverpool fans will fancy us should we get through against Real Madrid. Chelsea, we know, have been very, very strong under Thomas Tuchel. But hopefully by then, the new manager bounce will have faded and they'll be more beatable should we get past Real Madrid. But yeah, it's a nice draw for us, that it really is. As I say, we avoid some real big teams in the build-up there. And fingers crossed, we will be playing in Istanbul in May. Let's have a look at the rest of the comments. Easy road to Istanbul, says Lagster. Look, when you get to the last stage of the Champions League, nothing is easy, but it's certainly a nice draw for us. We've avoided Bayern, we've avoided PSG, we've avoided Manchester City. And of course, as I said, it smells an awful lot like 2005, doesn't it? We know now we will be playing Chelsea possibly in the semi-final. Should we beat Real Madrid? Should they beat Porto? Of course, exactly how we did in 2005. And can you imagine a ghost goal from Sadio Mane, a bit of VAR controversy to knock Chelsea out and put us in that Champions League final? But let's see what you lot are thinking. Ethan says, mint draw. Let's take it one game at a time. Let's make it 7, lads. I think this game will be close for us. Absolutely, mate. Look, we're desperate for revenge on Real Madrid. They're easier to play than they ever have been. However, it won't be easy. It won't be at all. And there's a lot of people celebrating the draw. Of course, we've avoided some big, big, big teams, but Real Madrid are a big, big side. And they're certainly not going to be easy. They're not going to be a side that we are able to easily push to one side and know that we are going to be playing in that semi-final. It's going to be a tough 2 games. But I'm excited. Champions League, baby. And let's see what you lot are thinking. Darren Hodgson agrees. He says, let's take it one step at a time. Harmon Ray says, would have preferred getting Chelsea's route. Yes, they have a good draw, don't they? They certainly do. You'd fancy them to beat Porto. Though, as I say, you can't underestimate Porto. And then, of course, they've got either us or Real Madrid in that semi-final. Which for them, I'm sure they'll be rubbing their hands together at that draw too. Connor Lambs simply says, 7 is coming home. Scott the Gamer says, we will win. We are Liverpool no matter what. That's the spirit, mate. Let's have a look. Tony Lynch says, it smells good. It does, doesn't it? Sean Fernandez seeing this as the perfect opportunity to get our revenge. Salah versus Ramos. Salah is going to be well up for this, isn't he? He was... he had that final torn from his grip. He was taken off with that injury on his shoulder, couldn't continue with the game. He was, of course, brought to tears with that injury. It ruined the World Cup for him, really, as well. He will want his revenge on Sergio Ramos. He will want his revenge on Real Madrid, just like we do. And we've moved on since then. We've moved on since Kiev, and we are desperate for our revenge. Shriyam says Madrid versus Bayern final, I think. Don't you mean Liverpool, mate? Interesting that he fancies Madrid to get all the way to the final. Of course, you can't rule them out. They're a top European club. Their stature in Europe is huge. However, with that being said, I do think they're beatable this year. They don't look great. They haven't been great in La Liga. And I do think we need to get our revenge on them. Harry Price saying Nat Phillips will go straight through Benzema. Yeah, it worries me, with that defensive line. But hopefully Henderson will be back for that second leg. We've got Jota back now, of course. There's been the return of Fabinho to midfield. Naby Keita is back from his brief spell out injured. Hopefully Thiago is in top form for these games. I thought he was brilliant in the second leg against Leipzig, and hopefully, Trent and Robbo are on the top of the game. Look, this is a good draw for Liverpool. We will the team talk writes itself, doesn't it? You know, a lot of these players played in Kiev and will be desperate for their revenge. Let me know what you think. Would you like me to do the Europa League draw following? Let me know in the comments. I know a lot of people aren't really asked about it, so if you don't want me to do it, I'll wrap this up soon. Let's have a look. Real Madrid are hosting the first leg, by the way. They got drawn out first, so they will host the first leg, which I think is better. Usually, but it worries me with our current form at Anfield that, you know, we'll go to the Bernabeu first and then have them come to Anfield. But I do think usually it is better to be at home in the second leg, you know, because you can make sure that you keep it close and, you know, in the first leg when you're away from home, you stay defensively tight, you get an away goal. And then, you know, it's in your hands when you play at home. I do prefer it with the second leg at home. However, you know, with our current form at Anfield, I'm hoping that it gets moved to Budapest. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Connor Lamb wants me to do the Europa League draw. Connor is down below. Connor, just text me if you think I should stay on and do it, mate. Let's have a look. Christine says, sorry, she's just confirming that's Champions League draw. Oliver Cross says, when are the games being played? I believe the first tie follows the game against Arsenal, so I think it's the week in between the 4th of April and the 10th of April. So I think if I work that out right, it's the 6th, 7th of April, around then, the 7th or 8th, I think it is. And then the week after will be the second leg, April the 11th, April the 12th. Sorry, that's the Tuesday, isn't it? Or is that them? I'm absolutely shocking with dates. But yeah, I'll find out as soon as I can. Harmon Ray says, would have preferred playing at Budapest. Yeah, than Anfield. I really would. But we'll soon see. Let's have a look. Darren Hodgson says, Liverpool are history makers and history repeats itself. Believe, believe, believe. Thanks again for the draw, Jack. David Newell says, is the semi-final draw not happening as well? If you missed it, if Liverpool progress past Real Madrid, we will be facing either Chelsea or Porto. So it's a nice draw for us in the semi-final. Certainly the best draw for us in that semi-final, should we get past Real Madrid. So there you go. Kian obviously missed the draw, asking who we got. We got Real Madrid in the quarterfinals, and we will play either Porto or Chelsea in the semis. Mark Norman, this is where I will wrap up this draw. He simply says, hopefully revenge for Salah. So that is where I'm going to wrap this up. Let's go, Reds. You know, a good draw for us in the end. Real Madrid isn't going to be an easy game, but hopefully we will get ourselves into that semi-final where we will either play Porto or Chelsea. And that draw does smell an awful lot to me like 2005. But though we believe and though we know we're giants in Europe and you can never rule us out, we know it's going to be tough. But it's a nice draw for Liverpool Football Club. I'm going to wrap up this video. I might be back for the Europa League draw. We'll soon see. But as I say, let me wrap up the draw very quickly for you if you've missed it and you've just joined us. So PSG got Bayern, a rematch from the final last year, of course. City got Dortmund, a nice draw for them. Chelsea got Porto, a draw they'll be very happy about. And Liverpool drew Real Madrid. And then the semi-finals, City or Dortmund will play the winner of that Champions League final from last season, Bayern and PSG. And Liverpool or Real Madrid will face Chelsea and or Porto. So that is the draw. Liverpool will be desperate for revenge from Kiev. And then if Liverpool progress past Real Madrid, we will fancy ourselves to get to Istanbul, though we'll have either Porto or Chelsea in our way. Thank you very much for joining me for this stream, and we shall see you very soon. Up the Reds. Allez, allez, allez. Ta-ra.